which, yeah, they're definitely the subterranean termites. The #1 termite that causes damage in Thailand. And now that I'm talking about it, I'll be damned, you know, I just remembered. That's right. So you see what I did there? So it's just, you know, it's a Hey guys, how you doing? How you doing? Craig here, and yes, the saga continues. Well, it seems to be a little bit of sunshine after it rained during the night again and early this morning. But I've already had my breakfast and, you know, did my things. Now I get, whoa, spider webs. This part right here, like this portal right here, it's a cobweb portal. We hate those. I didn't know if I showed you, I bought four more plants. These, you know, I don't know what they're called, I forget, but they grow quite nicely. I think I'm going to try and bury them over here. I want a guide row to go along this pathway, different plants. And again, after I painted this and did all that, by the way, I did put the deck up, although I haven't bolted it, and I did paint everything. Looks nice, looks real nice. And then sure enough, I had come out here yesterday and boom, the fucking termites back in there. And that's what they are. They are the, as I did my extensive research, which, yeah, they're definitely the subterranean termites. The #1 termite that causes damage in Thailand out of the many varieties of termites. And what they do is they make these little mud tunnels. They make mud tunnels to travel inside the tunnel on their way to find wood, because they smell the cellulose in wood, or they look for the cellulose, and so they traveled it once again. And because they are subterranean, that tells me that they are indeed within the bricks. I mean, I filled the bricks, these walls, I pretty much remember, yeah, I pretty much remember, I think I filled every cavity, like, so to make these walls like solid. I didn't just put mortar on them, I filled them. But that being said, where they meet, where the brick meets the wall, the post, right? The bricks, they have that little notch, right? I mean, yeah, you have the steel rods that you put in there to hold the brick to the post. That's not a problem. But the little half notch that goes up against the brick, you know, I obviously I fill that up and I stick it in there like that. But you know, as the cement dries and this and that, there's probably an avenue that's clearly from all the way from the bottom, where they, you know, migrated up, and they only have to fit their head through the crack, right? Then the rest of the body can come. And they migrated up, and then maybe right at this point, they couldn't go further. So they are, you know, they burrow out. They burrow out through another crack, or otherwise, you know, certainly right through the paint. And now that I'm talking about it, I'll be damned, you know, I just remembered. That's right. And if you go back and look at the videos of when I built this wall, because remember, this was a building that was already there, although I knocked down all the walls. This wall, actually, I didn't knock down because, or up to, was it to here? No, I think it was maybe to here or something. Maybe I added one more layer, I forget, but there was like a half wall here or something that was still good, so I kept it that way. I didn't have to, like, you know, or maybe the whole half wall, I forget, but I know I built all these. But this was all gone except for probably right freaking here. So there was this corner piece that was already rendered on this side and stuff, and I thought, you know what, and I built it up flush with that on this side, and I'm starting to remember that. So because that piece was still there and I used it to build on top of, I'll bet you, because it had been there for so long, I bet you that piece itself was packed with termites. It was probably a termite home for the last 10 years or something. And that's why that's happening. So today I'm going to be on termite busting. So I'm gonna take my hammer drill, and I'm just gonna drill, man. I'm gonna be going meow, 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 meow. You know, I'll probably put a good half a dozen or more drill holes in there, and then I'm gonna fill it up with I'm gonna mix up the termite liquid. I'm gonna fill that up and pour it in every one of these holes, and hopefully that does a good job on killing them. And then I'll just leave the holes open, though. I will leave them open for at least a couple of days to see if those little buggers still start to come out. I think by opening it, you know, they'll try to escape too. But like I said, because there's that piece down here, this whole square down here was there, I definitely have to punch holes in that. I might wind up punching holes, and all of a sudden, boom, I see a whole boatload of termites. This is a perfect example of how termites can definitely get into your concrete house. People talk about, oh, my wood house got a termite. Oh, nope. I'm fighting termites over here, man. Repeatedly. Where there's a will, there's a way, and they were there. I doubt they got there. I doubt they got there after I built it, but anyway, definitely have to do that. That's going to be my major task. I can't come out here. There's like, what's that? I don't know. That's probably 7 different times already. That same exact spot. Before they had made it all the way up and around, and then got on this wood and stuff while I was, you know, over the months or whatever that I hadn't gone up there and all that, because they found the wood. But then, you know, I obviously I took the wood down. I cleared all that termite stuff up there. I did put solution and all that stuff, and I always put the solution down there, and it did make them go away. But eventually they came back out, which is probably, I think, that bottom part. That's the hole where they're coming out, and then they just create this, like I mentioned before, they're using saliva and dirt, man. They're just going, and they make a tunnel so that they can crawl up. It's not a termite like with wings, you know. The subterranean termites, if you Google that, you'll see they're like little white, tiny, clear, parasitic kind of termites or whatever. It's like larvae almost, and they need that protection. They need that mud tunnel to be able to kink until they get somewhere to where they can create the whole mud circular kind of nest on top of a piece of wood, and then just continue to start to, you know, burrow until they eat it all. But aside from punching holes in that thing today, ouch, what I am going to try and do is I am going to try and attach the track to the guide. I'm also going to try and make that window. I went to lunch yesterday out in, you know, in the village, or in the city, and we parked and walked to the place, and then along with that I saw a shop where they make all those metal gates and all this stuff. But in front of the shop, it looked like they had kind of like trash almost, but they had big, you know, those pieces of glass just kind of leaning up against the fence or whatever, been there, whatever. But one piece was bigger than that window, and that's kind of what I need. So I think I'm gonna go back there today and say, bro, can I have that? Or, you know, give him $100 or something, get that piece of glass. Actually, I'll probably make the frame, bring the frame with me, and I'll say, yeah, I want to do it. And then he's got the glass cutter, obviously. So I'll say, hey, can you cut it for me? I'd be like, yeah, sure. And then if you can cut it for me, I'll make it fit. You know, I'm gonna make I decided I'm gonna make a steel frame. So I can actually, because there's a steel frame in there I already put in there. That is steel around there, and I'm gonna make another one like that, and then I'll be able to put a hinge on it. I'll put top and bottom hinge, so I can just actually have the window open like this, like a door, little mini door, troll door. And yeah, and so within that new metal piece, you know, I'll just I don't know what I'll do, but anyway, I'll figure out how to mount the glass inside that, and then it'll be good. Hopefully the glass is still there, even though it's only just saw it, but it looks like it's been sitting there for a while, so it should still be there today. Anyway, like I say, it rained really heavy last night. Lots of water in my boat. I gotta take the water out of that right now, and actually I have the stuff. I should hook up my motor now, make it happen. Where was it? Anyway, yeah, let me do some around. Let me do some of that, and we'll see what I can get done. I just spit out like, I want to do that. I also wanted to cement up the door, and blah, blah, blah. We'll see what I get done. I'll probably get done like one thing. I'll probably wind up caving in the wall over here or something. I'll have to work all day on fixing the holes I drilled in that wall to beat up those termites. But those termites, they will not defeat me. All right, man, let me get back at you. Okay, well, that's done. I just mixed it up in this. It's actually an old drill case, but I mixed it up really strong. And then I actually went like this and just kind of poured in, but most all these holes they felt when I was drilling them, they were like solid, and I'm like this, but this one went in, and so this is right where that looks like it comes out. So I poured that. When I was pouring that, it took almost all of it, which tells me there's a cavity in there. So anyway, we'll see how that one goes. The next hurdle, or I forgot what I'm doing. The water, yeah. All right, man, back at you. Speaking of, you know, pesticides, check it out. Invasion of the body snatchers. Alrighty, well, I think I'm a little bit closer to the solution on the slide. And so what I did was here, I had that aluminum track, right? The track, and it's actually some kind of sliding door track or something, but anyway, I just clamped it on here, and then I had I drilled actually on the 1, 2, and 3. I drilled through when I was able to take a bolt, and here, let me take this off. Fortunately, I could move this away, and I was able to slip the bolt in, go all the way through. I put a nut on this side to lock it, and then I have it gone in here. And at first I put a washer, because, you know, again, it's got a groove, it's got a track opening, right? I don't want the bolt to come out, right? I mean, it would guide it, but it could still blow away, and that's why I don't want it. So I put the washer in there with the nut at the bottom, and just let it free. But it quickly bound up. Although, what the hell's going on? And I probably should have checked, because before I had checked, and then I couldn't find the set. I had a set like this, you know, washer, bolt, and nut. I couldn't find that, so, and I figured, well, it was a big washer, but it must not have been that big of a washer, because that washer is bigger than the track, just barely, so it bound up. And what the hell? Had to pull the whole thing off, which is tricky. And then I removed the washer, and now the nut itself is just barely too big for the track, meaning that it won't come out. So I actually put 2 nuts on the end of the bolt, you know, put 1 nut there, then another one to lock it so that it doesn't fall off. And it seems to work, but when I'm moving it, it has a bit of a squeak, and it binds up on that side. And I think what's happening is that it's the threads. So the threads, because, you know, I want it to have a little bit of play, right? But those threads are catching, and they're cutting even into the aluminum track part, which, if they were doing that, then you know, enough, fairly quickly, because it's aluminum, that nut would probably come out, because there's not much clearance in there. I mean, ultimately, I probably need to find the right size washer, which is one that's just a little bit bigger than this. But even with that, I thought, you know what I need, and so I found this old piece of, I don't even know what this is for. I forget what it was for, but it was in my shop, and I know that it's actually metal. So I'm using my Sawzall, actually, and I'm gonna cut a piece that is, you know, about the length of whatever I have showing in here. It's probably not that big, but enough of a piece to where the aluminum can't catch on the threads. It'll spin more smoothly, because this is bigger than this, so it'll just spin around it. And I think that will add significantly to the smoothness of this thing. And so now I'm going to slide this thing off again, which is difficult, because when I slide it off, there's nothing to hold it up out there. I have to, you know, it swings down. Fell away from me a couple times, but anyway, so I'm going to slide I'll slide the first one off over here, and it should be no problem. Actually, wait a minute, I can take these off. Ain't going nowhere. And as you can see, it slides fairly easy, right? It's still squeaky like that, and that squeak is, I know it's got to be from the threads. This is what I was talking about. So you see what I did there? So it's just, you know, it's a very, hopefully it doesn't touch the bottom, but if so, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters too much, because this will slide on the bottom, no problem. But I don't want to dig it into the side of that, right? So I'm going to put a round slider in here. That one's kind of, you know, kind of short there, but hey, it doesn't matter, man. Just gotta see if it works. All right, well, let me do that and we'll see if it's a little less squeaky. I think ultimately it's still gonna have sound, maybe not so much in here, but certainly up here on the wheel. But that's all right. I can reduce some of the sound with, you know, with production grease up there or something, but I ain't worried about the sound. All right, man, let's get it done. Let's see what I can do. Bye-bye. I don't know if it's got plastic core in there all the way through or what. Kind of small. I gotta see if it works. Right, well, before I forget, this is how it come out. So the idea is that this just spins around. This is locked in place. I already did that one and that one too. So now it's just a matter of sliding this on. And it looks like it slides a lot better right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clamp it just so I can test it. Okay. I gotta build a railing here too, because, yeah, don't want to fall off now, do I? Anyway, the idea is it's in place, so let's see. I think maybe I need to get the steel binding. I can see that right there. It's actually at the top of that. This one here, I don't know, let me sort it out. I think I just need to adjust the track. All right, man, I'm back at you. Well, I think what it was this middle one, the hole was too high. So what I did was I just removed that bolt, and then I tried it again, and it's much smoother without that bolt in there. And so I know that was that. But there are still several challenges that need to be overcome. I need to be able to figure out how to affix this to this aluminum, to this galvanized, without you know, impairing the inside of the track, right? Because I can't just stick a screw through there, right? Because the nut hanging will hit the screw. I'll probably wind up drilling right through it like that, and then putting a flathead screw, maybe a round head would be better. That way if it hits it, glances over it. You know, yeah, as flat as I can on the round head on the inside, and then, or actually maybe a screw, or maybe at least a nut, a bolt, skinny bolt with a round head, round flat head that I can bolt on this side and get tight. That would do it if I can find those. And I still have to do the end. I need to connect a new piece to this piece of metal to stabilize that end of the aluminum. And then out at this end, I need to go to Global now, and I need to buy I need to buy the other pieces. I only bought that one because I want to see if this is going to work, and I think it's going to work. And so I will buy, I think, 2 more of these. They're 1,000 baht each, but I'll buy 2 more, one for the other side, and then I'll cut the other one in half to continue this one. So it should be all right. But yeah, that'll probably have to be the next video. Let's see what else I can get going today before I go to Global. Oh, that's right, I need to go Global, maybe Liantai. My construction guy over here is closed, but the kitchen light went out again. That kitchen light went out, and I had swapped out my bedroom light for it. My bedroom light was even brighter, but now that's out. Not sure why. But just buy the guts, right? Not the whole light, just the replacement part. I need to get that too. And it's about 12 o'clock, so gonna be about lunchtime. Take a break. We'll get back at this when I figure it out better. All right, back at you. Got that done. Yeah, it's already late though. We're getting late. Sun go down. It started raining after lunch, and it continued to rain, of course. And then it stopped raining, and then sun came out. Enough for a little bit of a sunset, but lights already on, so that means it's 6 o'clock, maybe 5:45. 6 o'clock. I forgot when I reset that timer for, but you know, like I said, I didn't go to Global to get the rest of that pipe. I just couldn't do it. It was raining, and we went somewhere else, and so I'm gonna do that tomorrow. But I did get the deck up there and all situated. I did put even some more holes in the dang thing because I thought I saw a little pinhole of something else coming out of there. So hopefully in the morning, I mean, this stuff comes in one day, so hopefully tomorrow morning there won't be any. If there are, then man, I don't know, I gotta jack out the whole damn side of the wall there or something, re-cement everything. And what else? Yeah, so I think that's the solution up there with the slide, just having the nuts there and that little smooth turning thing. Now with this, I can just go ahead, once that's all cooled down, I'm gonna grind it off, make it all nice stuff, take it with me when I go over to into the city, see if I can grab that piece of glass. Hopefully it's still there tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Oh, and my light that went out in the kitchen, the replacement LED, you know, for a 42 watt, they wanted like 300 baht, you know, at the store over here at the Global. And then, you know, I just checked on Lazada and it was like 67 baht. So I bought on Lazada. It'll be here actually Saturday, so day after tomorrow, so it's all right, I can wait. I got 2 other lights in the kitchen. Anyway, man, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think of my slide action up there, see if it's gonna work. And yeah, after that, I'll get back at you with more progress here. It's getting here. All right, man. Back at you from the farm.